Welcome to the American Crafts Chromatix marker review comparison. I'm not really sure what I'm going to call these yet. It's either a review or a comparison or a rating system. I guess it's a review. I guess. Anyway, so here I have my Copic sketchbook of marker paper. Flip to a clean page. And I'm gonna start off by putting paper underneath. This is just regular card, like really light cardstock. It's like 85-pound cardstock. I'm just gonna put these underneath just in case it bleeds. The page underneath will be protected, so I don't have to worry about it because I don't want to have to worry about that. I got plenty of other things to worry about in this review. Okay, as you can see, I haven't opened them yet. They're still zip tied shut, which I just realized means I have to go find some scissors. BRB, guys. Okay, I'm back with scissors. Awesome. Just cut these bad boys open. American Crafter Chromatix are made in the US, as the name would suggest. This is the full range of colors. It looks like it has 30 pieces of double-ended alcohol-based brush markers. They come in a little carrying case. Ooh, pretty. It looks like they have all the colors, or lots of colors, not all the colors, but they have lots of colors and a colorless blender, one colorless blender. So that's cool. Colorless blenders are always good. So, the first thing I'm seeing right off the bat is that, obviously, oh, look at that. That is a brush tip. Look at that. So that comes with a brush tip and a bullet tip. So, here's the bullet. And here's the brush. Oh, and look at that. I've literally, you watched me open this package. I've never used them before. And look at that tip. It's already fraying. See that? Oh, tip durability. Not that great. But I think it's because it looks like they're individual brush hairs that make up a brush. So that might be why. Only I don't know how to see. Look at now, it's got that feathery edge to it. I'm not a fan of that. But anyway, obviously the brush tip is not replaceable. So you can't refill it, you can't change the brush tips or replace them. This one is Sapphire. Now let me see about the bullet tip. Bullet tip on this is dry and it immediately started to collapse on me. If you look, see it's all frayed. It was a nice sharp little bullet tip and as soon as I started to use it, it frayed. Maybe I should swatch all of these because it seems like you run the risk of, when you buy these, possibly getting some dry ones, which is no good. So of all 30, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, about 12. So just a little bit less than half do not work. The other ones, varying degrees of working. So we'll go with Evergreen, I guess. So we can do a bleed stress test. Oh yeah, look how soft that is. Ugh. Definitely. See, look at it. And as soon as you use, oh, these are awful. As soon as you use it, can you see that? How light the tip of the marker is? This is supposed to this bleed stress test simulates layering colors. See, look at it. I was not pressing hard when I did that. I was pressing as hard as I would on a Copic marker. This tip, this brush tip is just, you have to like put it back. Anyway, so let's see what the bleed looks like. Oh yeah, wow, these bleed badly. All right, good to know. Did it go through all the way? Oh, it did, look at that. Oh, this is awful. It did, it bled all the way through. And so if you wanted to layer these up, which at this point I don't know why you would want to, but if you wanted to layer these up, they would not layer up well on paper. You would need very thick paper, or you would need several sheets. In fact, I'm going to double this sheet up and move it around as needed. So for blendability, I'm going to pick up this one, and this one. And if I can't get a gradient with those three colors, then all hope is lost. Get a little bit of blend, but it's hard. It's very difficult to get it to blend. It wants to fight me. I definitely have to work. And with how much it bleeds through the paper, I don't really want to work it that much. Alright, so that went better than I thought it would. So let me try blending two colors together that normally would not blend well. Grass and grape. I'm gonna see if we can get a gradient between these colors without it looking awful. Yeah, but that purple is gonna definitely overpower it. I can try, here, I'll even try and help it out. I will try and use the colorless blender. So there's a plus. It cleans off of the blender nicely, at the very least. But it's sort of, do you see how it's like bubbling here? It's like lifting the color. Rather than blending it together, it's becoming spotty. My Copic markers do that sometimes if I really overwork them, but I can get rid of it by coming back and going over it again. But I have a feeling if I just do that, go back over it again, I'm just gonna, yeah, it's just gonna lay pigment and not blend. So we're gonna use, what is this? Skin tones and black, and see if the lighter color will push out the darker color, because that's one of my favorite features of alcohol inks. It's not really pushing that dark color out. Yeah, it's not really. We're going to scribble a color. Let's do this pink. The color is bubblegum. Three test swatches. One is gonna be its own blender, one's gonna be acetone, and one's going to be an alcohol swab. So, first we'll start with its own blender, because that should be the best result. I am seeing it push the color out a little bit. Oh, actually, yeah, the more you use it, it takes a little bit of work. But it does seem to push the color out. Now we'll try with the acetone. Ooh! Oh lord, we had an explosion. Okay, well, that happened. It sort of reacts with the acetone. And then last we have the alcohol swab. It reacted more with the acetone. I mean, this whole bubble was me dropping acetone on it like a dummy. But this, yeah, it doesn't really react with alcohol. So acetone, yes, alcohol, no. Now we're gonna test its reaction to water. Okay. So I just have some water, paintbrush. So if you wanted to use these markers in conjunction with watercolors to deepen up shadows and stuff, they are water fast. So you could do that. That would be okay. Now, let's see. If you wanted to use colored pencils to enhance your alcohol marker game, these ones would take it, but you'd have to work it. Like, you'd have to do a lot of work. Oh yeah, let's see how badly these bled. See, when I was trying to get a blend out of them, they bleed very badly. So, definitely bleedy markers. We're going to do variation. What different line sizes can you get out of these? Yeah, you basically get a small, medium, large. And the small, the more you use it, the more frayed the tip becomes. So the more difficult it is to control. Yeah, see how much thicker it is now that I did those wide lines? So it definitely, this tip is not durable at all. You can get a little bit of variation if you try really hard, and like I say, this is one of the better ones. This is one of the stiffer markers. Some of them were just very, very soft, so I'm sure I wouldn't even get that much variation out of it. I guess the last thing we have to test is the fine liner test. So we are going to divide this image up. And because different people ink in different ways, we will do the before and after. The before is in the center, and the after is on the outside. Here's the finished picture. It is a Merida. So what I immediately notice is that if you like to fine line before you color, that's not going to work very well with these markers, because almost all of them bled when I fine lined ahead of time. The only ones that didn't bleed were the Copic Multiliner and the Faber-Castell. Staedtler bled pretty badly. You can see it in the freckles and the eyelashes, any of the small details. The Staedtler beforehand inking bled noticeably. The Pigma Micron wasn't too bad. Actually, no, I take that back. I don't think the Pigma Micron bled at all either. So it looks like if you ink with if you want to ink beforehand using these, it would be Pigma Micron, Faber-Castell, or Copic Multiliner. Everybody else, so Staedtler, the India ink, and my zebra pens. Well, the zebra pen actually did pretty good too. But definitely Staedtler and India ink both bled horribly. Like noticeably, very feathered edges. The inking afterwards seemed to be fine. The India ink probably did the worst, but everybody else, they seem to do fine inking afterwards. So it's safe to ink on top of this. All in all, not super impressed with these markers. Probably would not recommend. I think they were really cheap. I'll put all of the data for this at the end of this video, but even being really cheap, half the markers didn't work. So I'm not really sure, is it really worth it to get markers that also, it's Russian roulette if they're gonna work or not. Also, I noticed when I was coloring and trying to blend, also the limited color palette was awful. I tried to pick pictures that will best suit the colors I have available, and really I mostly had greens and oranges, which is why I chose Merida. But so I noticed that they don't blend very well. The ink, for some reason, it sits next to, it like pushes the other color and sits next to it, so it gets like that sort of halo edge that like watercolors sometimes get if you paint wet watercolor on top of already dry watercolor. And I don't like that weird like little edge. If you look very carefully, you can see it. That weird edge shows up, and I just don't like that. You can see it pretty well here in the sleeve. I really don't recommend these. Even if they're the cheapest, even if they end up being the cheapest ones, I mean, you get what you pay for. They blend okay. The tips, a lot of them are ruined, or at the very least, are not the same as they were. Look at this brush. Let me get a dry one. This one's dry, I think, yeah. See how pointed this tip is? Do you see how pointy that is? That's straight out of the box. It's dry, so I couldn't use it. So that one's straight out of the box. This one I used just to color her dress, which is probably like a third of the picture or so. And look how frayed and dry that brush is. It's just not, these are trash as far as I'm concerned. I was hoping maybe I could use these for journaling if I didn't like them for illustrating, and maybe I'll still try to use the ones that still work. But they work for one-time use. I can confirm they work for one-time use. If you ink beforehand, don't use Staedtler, don't use Faber-Castell, don't use India ink. The Copic Multiliners are fine, Pigma Microns are fine. If you ink afterwards, use whatever you want. So yeah, that was my review of American Crafts Chromatix. I don't like them. But yeah, so if you liked this video, oh, look at that segue, then please like the video, share it if you want, just in the comments section down below. Suggest any brands of markers that you might want me to try out. And if I don't have them, maybe I'll be able to get them. The only criteria are they have to be advertised as a brush tip, and they have to be alcohol markers. They have to be alcohol ink. So stay tuned to the end to see the final numbers and results for these. And just give me any suggestions of more that you want to see me test in the comments section below. And until my next video, I will talk to all of you later. Bye!